I'm going to be blunt and say I don't believe that the memory of a constituent who could not be with his dying wife clinched it. What else happened in the last 48 hours that changed Baker's mind?
Well, it's the most extraordinary about turn. Very few were expecting Steve Baker to come out and say this today. We've heard a number of speeches from a number of people who have said similar critical things of the Prime Minister beforehand. It wasn't the biggest surprise to everyone, for example, that William Ragg, the Conservative Member of Parliament for Hazel Grove, announced that back in December he had sent in his letter. He's someone who had been very critical of the Prime Minister in the past. But with Steve Baker, this is someone who helped Boris Johnson become Prime Minister. This is someone who led the parliamentary troops in the Brexit wars. This is someone who organised the way that Parliament worked to engineer that referendum in the first place. This is someone who has been aligned with Boris Johnson for a long time. And also, quite importantly, a pretty devout Christian. And someone who spoke 2 days ago about the Christian virtue of forgiveness. But I think to some extent that religiosity has also played into that very clear idea of when someone has done right and when someone has done wrong. The biggest thing that I've been able to glean speaking with MPs over the last few hours about what exactly went on between last night and at 11:10 this morning, just 20 minutes before the debate was about to start, the government pulled their amendment and released the requirement for a 3-line whip, gave Conservative MPs in effect a free vote, conceding in many ways that the Labour motion will pass. Well, why on earth did that take place? As far as I am aware, Conservative MPs who were given various assurances by the whips last night were not happy with the motion that was then produced. Conservative MPs were happy with the argument that the government made that this vote should be not taking place, or this investigation, I should say, this committee of the House of Commons investigation should not take place until Sue Gray's report has been published, until MPs have all the facts and knowledge at their fingertips. Well, it seems that the wording of the motion didn't live up to that promise, because it wasn't just an amendment that the government laid to delay that eventuality beyond Sue Gray. It was one that would have required a further vote. And to some MPs, that part of the government's amendment, the part that may well have allowed a confident government to wriggle out of the idea of having this inquiry at all, that was beyond the pale. And clearly, the numbers simply did not add up for the whips this morning. The first rule in politics, they say, is know how to count. And this government that was elected with a majority of 80 MPs, well, at least 40 of them would have had to have had words with the whips to say they would vote actively against the government. And when we're talking about 40 plus Conservative MPs being opposed to their government, we are getting into 1922 committee letter territory. And that is the big worry for this government going forward.